Just a very quick video of my new drop chart that I'm working on. This is going to be taped to the scope of my rifle. Um, Most of it's pretty obvious, so yardage 1 through 1,000. My drop is my true drop. That means that my BC and everything has been trued. I've also confirmed, meaning that I shot at those ranges and verified that that's what they are. The next one is miles per hour. It's a full value wind at each one of these yardages for 1 mile an hour. So let's say 800 yards for 1 mile an hour wind, a full value would give me 0.14 mil hold. And now sine is the cosine. That's the number for the direction that the wind would be coming from. So 1230 is going to be 0.26. So what we do is we take our wind value at whatever miles per hour it is, and then we can multiply that by our cosine number to give us what we need to dial. At the top is we have our quick dope number, or quick drop. So this number is a number that we can subtract from 1/100th of our yardage, and that works all the way at any range. So 400, you can do 440, 450, 460, 550, 560, and subtract 2.2 from that number, and that's going to give you your dope. The 300 at the top right, 300 through 770, that's going to tell me that my quick drop number is going to be accurate within 0.2 mils between 300 and 7,700 yards. 0.2 mils or less, depending on what number I went with. I do have another chart you can see I posted on my page. Depending on where you want to be most accurate out and how far out you want to shoot, depending on what number you want to pick. So for my rifle, 2.2 works best at a longer range. 2.1 works a little bit better at the mid-range from 5 to 6. So, I'll go in a little bit more detail about that when I break this down, but I do have some posts on that. Quick wind, that's just a number to give to our bullet and gun combination. That's 6.3 miles per hour. And what that does is give us, I think it's 1/100th, basically of our yardage, meaning at any one of these given ranges, 100, 200, 300, at a 6.3 mile an hour wind, our range will equal our wind dope. So at say 600 yards with a 6.3 mile an hour wind will give me 0.6 that I need to dial for my wind. At 500 yards, it'll be 0.5. So at 600 yards, let's say I have a 10 mile an hour wind. This is where our cosines are going to come in. That's going to give me basically just move our decimal over one spot, which is multiplying it by 10. That gives me 1 full mil. For our cosines, this is going to be the most accurate using those cosines, but we can make it a little quicker by making, let's say 1230, making that 2.5, 1 o'clock 0.5, which is what it is. Between 1:30 and 2 o'clock, because I have to use a calculator to calculate those numbers. To make it quick, we can multiply that by 0.75. Now, it's not going to be as accurate, but it's going to be very close, and it's going to be quick. For 3 o'clock, obviously, is full value. And then if you want accuracy, then at 2:30, you can use 95%, but I have to use, between 1:30 and 2:30, I have to use a calculator. But we can rule out 2:30. You can call it 95%, which is fairly easy to do in your head. But if you use 2.55, 7.5, and 100, most numbers you can just do that in your head without having to bust out a calculator. So just an example, 600 yards, 10 mile an hour wind gives me 1 full mil. So if my wind is coming at 1230, I'm going to multiply that by 0.25, which gives me a 0.25 mil hold. A 10 mile an hour wind at 600 yards, let's say it's 1 o'clock, that's going to give me, because we're dividing that in half, 0.50, that's going to give me a 0.5 mil hold. Same thing for 1:30 and 2. That's going to give me, I would use 0.75, but because it's an perfect even number, at 1:30 I would dial 0.7, to a clock, I would dial 0.86. But let's say those are 0.75. You have a 0.75 mil hold for your wind. And then let's say 700, let's say 500 yards. Let's say we have a 3 mile an hour wind. Let's say it's a full value, 3 mile an hour wind at 500 yards. We take 0.08 and multiply that by 3. So that would give us 8, 16, 24, so 0.24 mil hold. That's going to work all the way up at any range. If we have, let's say we have that same 3 mile an hour hold, 3 mile an hour wind, 0.24 mils, but it's coming at 1 o'clock, we're going to take that 0.24 and just divide it right in half. So you can do that right in your head. If it is 0.225, we take that 0.24 mils, just divide it up. Kind of think about it. If it's easier for you, like money, a quarter, 2.5, 50 cents, 50, stuff like that. So that makes this very quick and easy to use. I'll make another video where I break everything down into more detail, how to get your quick drop, your quick wind, all these good things.